If you grew up attending grade school between the mid-80s up to the mid-90s, chances are that somewhere in your school was some variation of an Apple II computer. I myself happen to be one of those students who gleefully looked forward to taking a break from the daily stresses of a first grader by accompanying my class on a trip to the school's computer lab. No, not a lab like a dog or a mad scientist laboratory, but just a computer lab. Yet, what was it that sparked my interest and caused not just me, but the rest of my classmates to eagerly anticipate a chance to once more turn on one of these ancient blocks of hardware? Well, that's where a company called the Minnesota Educational Computing Consortium, say that 5 times fast, or MECC for short, comes into play. No pun intended. You see, MECC was a company that was founded in 1973, and their initial objective was to simply provide computer services to schools solely within the state of Minnesota. Yet, as is the way of life, plans changed, and their games and software gained such popularity among students and teachers that they eventually became a staple for schools around the world. MECC produced many educational games throughout the years, but none was more famous than a little piece of software called the Oregon Trail. Now, the Oregon Trail was originally released way back in 1971 on the HP 2100 by 3 Minnesota-based teachers, Don Rywich, Bill Heineman, and Paul Dillenberger. What started out as a text-only game has since spawned many updated releases on various computer-based platforms throughout the years, and has even made its way onto the Nintendo 3DS and mobile phones. From the time of its creation, the Oregon Trail has collected a variety of achievements, including spawning the popular meme and catchphrase, "You have died of dysentery," and it's even the only educational game to be inducted into the World Video Game Hall of Fame located in Rochester, New York. Today, we're focusing on the 1985 version for the Apple II. This installment in the series was contained on not 1, but 2 floppy disks, and featured a wide variety of improvements over its predecessors in the form of both graphics and gameplay. It's also the version that I'm personally most familiar with from my childhood. So, now that we have some background info out of the way, let's begin our pixelated journey across the western United States in the Oregon Trail. The Oregon Trail is a simulation game that allows the player to embark on an epic quest to travel from the town of Independence, Missouri, all the way to, you guessed it, Oregon City, Oregon. Between the years of 1811 and 1869, more than 400,000 settlers, farmers, miners, business owners, and families attempted the dangerous journey, risking life and limb for a chance to travel to uncharted territory and start a new life. It wasn't until 1869, when the first transcontinental railroad was complete, that use of the trail diminished and the journey became both faster and safer. Having said all that, for the time of its release, this game is surprisingly historically accurate, and it starts you off with a choice of either playing as a banker, a carpenter, or a farmer before picking up to 5 people to join your party. In a way, the job class you select determines the game's difficulty, as choosing a banker offers the player more money to purchase equipment and food, making the journey easier, while picking a farmer limits the amount of funds, thus making things more challenging. So once you've picked your class and purchased all your oxen, food, clothes, ammunition, and wagon parts, it's time to leave your hometown and start your journey. As far as gameplay goes, the objective is simple. Travel from town to town and making sure to keep your party in good health and stocked up with food, all while avoiding as much trouble as possible along the way. What kind of trouble? Well, this game throws at you a variety of obstacles in the form of thunderstorms, hailstorms, lost party members, lost oxen, bad drinking water, and surprisingly so much more. They even have thieves that steal goods from your wagon if you're unlucky enough to encounter them. Additionally, you'll occasionally come to a point where you'll need to cross a river, but don't worry, the game is generous in allowing you a few options to do just that. If you make the wrong choice, however, you can risk damaging your wagon and losing your precious supplies. Yet perhaps the most infamous aspect of this game is the multitude of diseases and injuries your party members can obtain. These range from fever, exhaustion, snakebite, broken legs, broken arms, cholera, the fan favorite, dysentery, and that's just naming a few. Should one of your party members fall ill, you can choose to help aid them by keeping them well fed and rested, or you could simply refuse to feed them, which will ultimately result in death. Yes, that's right, your party members can die.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Should you and all of your party members pass away, the game is over and you'll be greeted by an image with your own gravestone. So, it's up to you to do your best to make sure that doesn't happen. And the best way, of course, is to always have on you a generous supply of food. If you're playing as a banker, keeping up with your food shouldn't be too difficult, as you can simply restock your food supplies while visiting certain towns. However, there is another alternative if you're running low on funds or just want to try something a little different. That leads us to what many may claim is the best part of this game, the hunting. Ah yes, it's safe to say that kids all across America wasted many an hour in school controlling this pixelated man, as he attempts to fire away at various critters and beasts to try and provide food for the party. The idea was simple enough, though in earlier versions of the game, including the one you see here, you are unable to move around your character and relied mainly on the luck of your placement, in addition to hoping that something worthwhile would pop up. Speaking of which, possible animals included rabbits, deer, bears, and even bison, to name a few. And of course, the fun ends as soon as you run out of ammunition, so be sure to keep some in stock. One thing I always found amusing was that you could end up targeting a 900-pound bison, but your character can only bring with him up to 100 pounds of food per session, so I always wondered what happened to the other 800 pounds. Anyway, you and your party will go through your journey visiting various towns and landmarks. If you're lucky, sometimes you'll find abandoned wagons with supplies, find wild fruit, or receive help from friendly locals along the way. Eventually, you'll arrive near the end of your quest to a section where the path splits, and you'll need to make a choice. Just when you think you've experienced all that this game has to offer, one of the paths will take you to a fun little mini-game where you guide your wagon down a river, all while avoiding rocks along the way. Once you've made it down the end of the river, well, that's it. You'll arrive at Willamette Valley, Oregon, and your journey will come to an end. Now, believe it or not, there is a bit of a hidden point system here, and once you've completed the game, it will tally up the points you've earned. They're based off certain criteria such as whether you played as a farmer or a banker, the health of your remaining party, and the remaining cash and supplies you have on hand at the end. With a bit of luck, you'll earn a spot on the high score leaderboard. As far as this version of the Oregon Trail is concerned, that pretty much covers everything the game has to offer in terms of features and gameplay. Truth be told, yes, there are superior updated renditions and remakes packed with tons of features. However, this version in all of its simplicity has a charm to it that still holds up to this day. Even if you've never heard of this game before and completely took out the nostalgia factor, the basic nature of the gameplay makes it easy for anyone to pick up and play. If you're someone who would prefer a shiny coat of paint and nice graphics above all else, yet still find the concept for this game to be interesting, then at the very least, I would encourage you to try out one of the newer versions of the Oregon Trail. However, if you feel like traveling back through time and experiencing this game in all of its retro pixelated glory, an emulator like WinApple might be the easiest route. Though if you can get your hands on a piece of Apple II hardware, there's no substitute for the actual authentic experience. Having said all that, I'd give this game a rating of 5 out of 5 wagon wheels. That's it for today's episode though. If you found this video to be entertaining or informative, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future. Also, leave a comment letting me know, did you ever play the Oregon Trail growing up in school? I'd love to hear about your memories and experiences with the game itself. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting the channel. I'll catch you next time. Take care.